The date is August 27, 1990. The sold-out crowd of over 19,000 fans at the Spectrum in Philadelphia rises to their feet in eager expectancy. From behind the curtain emerges a mammoth of a man. Standing 6 feet 7 inches and weighing 468 pounds, Earthquake is about to face the biggest match of his career against Hulk Hogan at SummerSlam. The tension in the building is palpable. For months, Earthquake had terrorized the WWF's biggest star, culminating in this moment where two of wrestling's largest figures would finally settle their score. The match itself is a masterclass in big man wrestling psychology. Earthquake dominates the early proceedings, using his massive frame to wear down Hogan with clubbing blows and his signature sitting splash. The crowd watches in horror as their hero struggles to mount any offense against the Canadian behemoth. Earthquake's devastating Earthquake Splash threatens to end the Hulkster's reign as the Federation's premier superstar. The drama builds as both men spill to the outside. Suddenly, as the referee's count reaches 10, Earthquake is still outside the ring after being body slammed by Hogan onto a table. The match ends in a count-out victory for Hogan, and while Earthquake would remain a formidable force, this moment at SummerSlam represented the apex of his trajectory in professional wrestling. It's a cruel irony that this peak came relatively early in Earthquake's wrestling career, but to understand how this gentle giant from Surrey, British Columbia, reached this moment, we need to turn back the clock and examine his remarkable journey. Born on June 22, 1963, John Anthony Tenta Jr.'s path to wrestling superstardom was anything but conventional. A naturally gifted athlete, Tenta excelled in amateur wrestling during his high school years at North Surrey Secondary. His dominance on the mat was unprecedented in British Columbia high school sports, as he went undefeated in his senior year, winning the provincial championship with none of his matches lasting longer than a minute. His prowess earned him a full scholarship to Louisiana State University, where he competed as a super heavyweight and quickly became one of the most promising prospects in collegiate wrestling. However, it was his next career move that would truly set him apart from his peers and forge the foundation for his future success in professional wrestling. In 1985, Tenta made a bold decision to move to Japan to pursue a career in sumo wrestling. This wasn't just unusual, it was unprecedented for a Canadian athlete. Tenta's time in sumo was marked by incredible success, including a 21-match winning streak that garnered attention throughout Japan. The Japanese media was fascinated by this Caucasian giant who had embraced their national sport with such dedication and success. As one of the few Western Rikishi in the mid-1980s, and only the third white man to enter the sport, Tenta attracted significant media attention, earning him the moniker, the Canadian Comet. Although he found early success, Tenta soon abandoned sumo, unable to endure the relentless demands of its lifestyle and the physical strain inflicted by the unforgiving ring surface. This is when the world of professional wrestling came calling through All Japan Pro Wrestling. He made his debut on May 1, 1987, and under the direction of Giant Baba, Tenta learned the fundamentals, combining his amateur background with the power moves that would become his trademark. Tenta enjoyed a strong 18-month run in AJPW, teaming with legends like Jumbo Tsuruta and the Great Kabuki. His performances caught the eye of American wrestling promoters, while he also made appearances in Vancouver for Al Tomko's NWA All-Star Wrestling. Initially competing as a babyface, Tenta later turned heel under the guidance of manager gentleman Jonathan Sayers. Following 2 dark match appearances under his real name in March 1989, Tenta officially signed with the WWF in September, marking the beginning of his full-time tenure. In his debut after signing, Tenta appeared as Earthquake Evans, a hulking lumberjack from the northern Yukon Territory, managed by Slick. Tenta then made his television debut on an episode of Superstars of Wrestling, staged as an unsuspecting fan in the audience at a taping in Wheeling, West Virginia. During an in-ring interview with Gene Okerlund, Dino Bravo challenged the Ultimate Warrior to a strength contest. Bravo, with his manager Jimmy Hart, proposed selecting a random audience member to sit on their backs during push-ups to determine the stronger man. Feigning a search, Hart discovered the towering Tenta seated casually in the crowd, who, appearing surprised, introduced himself as John from West Virginia. Tenta entered the ring and took his place on Bravo's back as he completed his push-ups. But when it was the Ultimate Warrior's turn, Tenta suddenly crashed down on him with a devastating seated senton. Bravo and Tenta unleashed a flurry of splashes on the fallen warrior before celebrating in the ring. With this ambush, Tenta cemented his arrival as a new heel to be reckoned with. Within weeks, he was repackaged as Earthquake, a natural disaster personified. His early victims included numerous enhancement talents, with each squash match building his reputation as an unstoppable force. The build-up to his showdown with Hulk Hogan was months in the making. During a segment of the Brother Love show, Earthquake had executed one of the most memorable attacks in WWF television history. After Jimmy Hart had distracted Hogan, Earthquake repeatedly delivered his crushing Earthquake splash to Hogan's chest. WWF subsequently ran an extensive storyline where Hogan suffered injured ribs and had to take time off television. Weekly updates showed Hogan in various hospitals, building tremendous anticipation for their eventual SummerSlam confrontation. Following his high-profile feud with Hogan, Earthquake entered one of his most memorable rivalries with Jake the Snake Roberts. The program began in October 1990 when Earthquake, in an infamous segment on Superstars of Wrestling, crushed Roberts' pet snake Damien. The angle was shocking for its time, with Earthquake repeatedly jumping on Roberts' trademark bag, which supposedly contained the snake. The moment was so controversial that the WWF received numerous complaints from animal rights activists, despite the fact that no actual snake was harmed. The feud, which culminated in a series of matches throughout late 1990 and early 1991, showcased Earthquake's versatility as a performer, as he adapted his power-based style to work with Roberts' more technically proficient approach. Spring 1991 saw Earthquake transition into a feud with Greg the Hammer Valentine, leading to a series of hard-hitting matches that highlighted Tenta's improving ring work. The brouhaha included a notable match at WrestleMania 7, where Tenta prevailed by pinfall. However, it was his next major program that would provide some of the most entertaining moments of his career. In late 1991, Earthquake began a partnership with Typhoon, forming the Natural Disasters, and the duo quickly established themselves as one of the most dominant tag teams in the Federation. Their combined weight of nearly 900 pounds made them an imposing sight, and their power-based offense was perfectly suited to the tag team style of the era. Their early matches saw them demolish teams like the Rockers and the Bushwhackers, establishing themselves as the premier heel team in the company, ultimately leading to a notable feud with the Legion of Doom throughout late 1991 and early 1992. Their matches were intense affairs that often ended in double countouts or disqualifications, protecting both teams' credibility. However, in one of wrestling's classic double turns, Jimmy Hart betrayed them in favor of Money Inc. during a title match on Superstars. The Natural Disasters eventually went on to defeat Money Inc. to win the World Tag Team Championship. The moment was particularly special as it marked Tenta's first and only championship in the Federation. Their reign lasted 3 months and included successful defenses against teams like the Beverly Brothers and the Nasty Boys, before losing the titles back to Money Inc. In 1994, Earthquake found himself embroiled in a feud with Yokozuna. Their rivalry was built around Earthquake being the only man who could match the champion's size and power. Their matches were uniquely compelling, as fans rarely got to see Yokozuna matched with someone who could rival his mass. A notable victory over Yokozuna in a non-title sumo match on Monday Night Raw proved that Earthquake could still deliver compelling performances against top talent. However, by late 1994, Tenta's initial run with the WWF was coming to an end. Facing personal financial struggles, Tenta found himself in talks with World Championship Wrestling. His real-life friend Hulk Hogan, recognizing an opportunity, pushed hard for his arrival. Tenta debuted in WCW as Avalanche, joining Kevin Sullivan's Three Faces of Fear, and later aligning with Big Bubba Rogers. He feuded with Sting and Randy Savage, competing in high-profile matches, including 6-man tags and singles bouts at Starrcade and Super Brawl 5. After WWF threatened legal action over similarities to his Earthquake persona, Tenta rebranded as The Shark and joined the Dungeon of Doom. Tenta would eventually make a brief return to the WWF in 1998 under the ring name Golga, including a surprise appearance in the 1998 Royal Rumble match. But by now, the landscape of professional wrestling had changed dramatically. The Attitude Era was in full swing, and while Tenta could still work solid matches, the industry had evolved beyond the larger-than-life characters that had defined his peak years. Tenta briefly revived his Earthquake persona in 2001, when he entered the 20-man gimmick Battle Royal at WrestleMania X7. Later that year, he secured a win over Tank Milosh in a dark match before a SmackDown taping. He then spent the next 3 years on the independent circuit, as well as a return to All Japan Pro Wrestling. But in 2004, Tenta was forced to retire, facing his greatest challenge yet when he was diagnosed with bladder cancer. In a cruel twist of fate, this formidable man who had made his living portraying an unstoppable force found himself in a battle he couldn't win. John Tenta passed away on June 7, 2006 at the age of 42, leaving behind a legacy as one of wrestling's most impressive big men. While that SummerSlam match against Hogan may have been his highest profile moment, Tenta's legacy in professional wrestling extends far beyond any single match. Earthquake stood out not just for his impressive stature, but for his ability to make people care about his matches and storylines. Perhaps Tenta's legacy is best remembered in the words of Bret Hart. He was this massive 6 feet 8 inches, 450-pound guy, yet he was this quiet, demure, gentle giant who said please and thank you to everyone and called everyone sir. He came in and was pushed as this brutal monster heel, who sent everyone to the hospital and put Hogan down on television, which upset millions of kids. Yet backstage, John hated being a heel. He loved children, and he loved playing with them and having them sit on his knee. Yet when he would go to airports and have kids crying and running away from him, it actually really upset him. When Quake turned face in 1992, the world saw the real John Tenta. The smile when he would come to the ring, the cheers he got from everyone, and when the kids finally saw him as a good guy, it warmed his heart. When he won the tag titles, the look of elation on his face was so pure and genuine. When he finally got to be the good guy outside the ring, he really loved the reaction he got. And backstage, everyone in the back respected the hell out of John, and we were all crushed when he passed away. May he rest in peace.